Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Writers Podcast. And this is episode 49. And with me tonight, I have Mandy Eve-Barnett. Hello, Mandy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm super, and you?
I'm really good, thank you.
Right. We're almost neighbors. You're in Edmonton, and I'm in St. Albert.
Yeah, so very close.
Yeah, I should have done this in person.
We could have done.
You could have, yes. So, Mandy, you're a writer based in Edmonton, and you write, it looks like fantasy series is one of your things that you do?
One of the things I do. I'm actually
All right.
what they would term a multi-genre author.
Oh, fantastic.
Because I
Okay.
write for children, young adult and adult, and my books span a lot of genres.
All right. Well, we'll get into that a little more. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, how you became interested in writing?
Although I've been creative most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I never got into writing per se.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I emigrated to Canada,
From
England,
England.
thought
Okay.
you'd figure that out by accent.
Well, I don't want to make assumptions.
That's okay. And I wanted something creative to do. The children were older and sort of didn't need me hanging around all the time.
Right.
So our normal Saturday routine was the library
Okay.
to get more books and stuff. And there was a whiteboard that just said writing group meeting on Tuesday.
Mm.
So I thought, okay, I'll try that first.
Cool.
And I went, and they were very welcoming, and everyone shared stories, and I found it incredibly fascinating.
Mm.
And went back a couple of times, and I thought, it's no good going back and listening to everybody else and not doing anything.
Right.
So I thought, I better do something. So I just wrote this very short little, I think you would call it a flash fiction piece.
Right. Yep.
And yeah, everyone went quiet and thinking, oh, obviously it was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all burst out saying that was excellent and really good, and we didn't expect the ending, etc.
Right.
And that hooked me. And then from then on, I was like completely obsessed with the art of writing, and that's what I go for now. It's to twist a tale or have a surprise or something unexpected.
Okay.
I enjoy writing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so what was the time period like when you joined this writers group? Was this
2009.
Okay. So from flash fiction to a published book, what was the journey between those two moments?
My first little book was 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a children's picture book.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about a little monster that goes to scare children on Halloween. So that was my first sort of foray into publishing, and after that it was like a snowball effect. It couldn't stop me.
Right.
So,
cool.
yeah.
So how did you develop your craft then? Because I don't know, did you have any educational background in writing courses or anything of that nature?
Not at all.
Not at all. Oh, okay. Wow.
So, I mean, the writing group, Writers Foundation of Strathcona County,
Mm-hmm.
secretary and have been for quite some time.
Okay.
They're very supportive, very encouraging, and having feedback on a regular basis does help you get a sense of, how to do paragraphs and dialogue,
Right.
and structure and plot arcs,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course, any courses I could find,
Right.
then I would register and go through them.
Right.
So I sort of gradually learnt it by doing, but also by taking courses too.
Right. And what style of writer are you? Very organized and plot everything out, or do you just start writing and see where the muse takes you?
Most of my stories have been, the idea pops into my head and then I start writing and my characters sort of drag me through it.
Right.
But my current work in progress is a trilogy, so I had to look at doing a plot arc because I've got 3 books to go across.
Right.
So then that was complete opposite of my usual just go with it and see what happens,
Right.
to looking at this has got to happen and this is the timeline and this has got to fit here, there and everywhere. So I've learned how to do that.
Right.
And I'm lucky to have people who, within the writing community that I know, that I can sort of say, would this work, or am I doing this completely wrong?
Right. Right.
And I mean, that's why I enjoy the community, because everyone is so willing to help each other.
Right.
It helps you to not only learn, but also you increase your network. So then you can pay back.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And do you adhere to the creed of to be a writer, you have to read a lot?
I read all the time.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. And funnily enough, my reading genre is very eclectic. It could be sort of horror like Stephen King, or it can be like a little cozy thing like
Agatha Christie,
Kate Morton.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the gamut, basically, of fiction. I go from one thing to another. I mean, I have got a complete passion for Stephen King, so I like sit on bated breath and wait for his next book.
Right, we are fellow souls. And, because like I do a Stephen King podcast in addition to this one, and this was originally called the Stephen King bonus podcast, but now I've rebranded it to call it the Writers Podcast. And I don't know about you, but I'm waiting for his last book was Gwendy's Last Wish, I believe, or Last Task. And unfortunately, I guess because of supply issues, the hardcover is not available in Canada. And that's the first time I've run into this issue. I'm not going to get it till April.
I know. It's like, well, why have it taken so long? I mean, it's... I mean, the poor man has to write them, and it's like, hurry up, hurry up. But,
exactly. And then he's got another book coming out later this year. It's called The Fairy Tale, which looks excellent.
It does.
And he's got another Holly book
that would be great, because I love that series.
So it's another standalone book for her. So that's great to know. Okay, so besides Stephen King, who else do you like?
Oh Lord, loads. Because I'm writing a crime series. I've got into an English author called M.J. Arledge.
Okay.
And the way he writes is just incredible. I mean, he's got his main character that goes across the series, but each book you can read as a case. So each book is a different case for this detective.
Okay.
And I just like how he structures it, and he just keeps you really gripped within the story. So I've sort of raced through 5 of his books.
Wow. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so did you read your whole life, or did that become more serious when you decided to become a writer?
No, I mean, my parents were really sort of into, books are gold, and because your imagination, when you're in the midst of a story that you're reading, gives you such a gift. I mean, I know most people get a movie running in their head when they're reading.
Right.
I mean, other people can't, unfortunately, but so I that's what happens to me. If I'm reading something, I visualize it. And the same happens when I'm writing it, because I can visualize where my characters are, what they're looking like, what they look like, and that. So that helps a great deal to be able to use that.
So you've got this writing group that has given you a lot of support, and you came out with your first book, which was a children's picture book. What was the next step for you then?
Write more.
Write more. That's what they say. Yeah. That's your best form of advertising as a writer. Keep writing more.
I just wanted to carry on with the momentum that I found, and gradually each book that I wrote was longer, obviously, because the picture book is 32 pages. And I just found that what happens to me is I follow the story. I don't write to genre. So as the story develops, then I realise who my audience is and what the genre will be.
Right.
I like the idea of testing myself. So, someone says to me, I'm into this, I think, well, okay, maybe I could write one of those then.
Right. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, I mean, my last one last year was a steampunk.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's very cool.
The current one is crime. So, not similar in any way, really.
Right.
Apart from I do tend to have strong female characters.
Okay. I wonder why.
Because they're the best.
They're the best, yes. Interesting. And has your writing habits or style, how has it changed from when you started to where you are now? Like what have you noticed that you've improved and honed on?
I think as you become more confident in how you write and your voice,
right,
the flow is better. You've got some experience behind you and you can use that.
Right.
Now I just feel that yes, I can go away, I can write a novel, feel perfectly happy with it, and then start, with the beta readers and feedback from my group and from my publisher and everything, so that I've got all those resources now that really help me tie up the loose ends or make sure it's as good as it can be.
Okay. So you kind of answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask about beta.
Sorry.
That's good, because then I'll just talk about other things. You mentioned that you have beta readers. You mentioned that you have a publisher. So you're not self-publishing then?
No, I've got a publisher.
Okay.
It's based in Sherwood Park.
Ah, okay. And I'm wondering then, what is your typical work day? Do you have a daily writing goal that you try to meet, or how does that work for you?
Well, as I work full time,
okay,
I have to do that first.
Right.
Yes. So it depends on what's happening. I mean, like for everybody, life invades the writing time.
Yep.
But, I do try to, say, right, there's nothing going on. I can write for 4 or 5 hours tonight because no one's around me. If someone has to see me or I have to do something, then obviously that has to come into the equation.
Right.
But my good friend and I were both writers, so we go on road trips regularly through the year.
Okay.
Quite a few of them. And we use those as almost writing retreats.
Oh, very good.
So it can be 3 days or 4 days or a week. So we do exploring, then we go back to the hotel, and then evenings are writing. And because we know each other so well, we can sit and write 3-4 hours.
Wow.
Complete silence. And I think having someone else there
kind of pushes you.
Helps a lot.
For sure. Yeah. Yes, because writing is such a solitary.
Most of the time.
That sounds ideal to get a writing buddy. That's great. All right. So what writing tools do you use? Or do you use Scrivener, Microsoft Word, anything of that nature?
No, Word doc.
I'm sorry?
Word doc.
Oh, okay. So your Microsoft Word. Very good.
Yeah.
And once you're done a document, do you use anything like Pro Writing Aid or Grammarly or anything of that nature? No. Wow.
I've got, because we do a novel workshop. So most of your listeners will know about Novel Writing Month.
Okay. Yes.
And you do your 50,000 words in November.
Right.
From November to about end of January, early February, we carry on and sort of fill out that first draft.
Right.
And then we have a writing workshop that's through the group.
Oh, okay.
So several of us will say, right, I want to polish up, The group we have at the moment, there's 5 of us. And we swap chapters every month.
Okay.
So everybody else edits and reads through each other's. And that's a great tool because you're getting, in this case, I'll get 4 people's views on my work.
Right. Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
And that helps with, spelling and maybe you shouldn't use that word because obviously I've got English words in my head. And they'll say, we don't know what that is in Canada. I'm like, okay, I'll have to change that. But, it's simple things that, it doesn't occur to me.
Right.
But then, of course, if I'm writing set in England, I'm going to use my English words.
Yep.
And you'll have to figure it out. My series, the Writing series, is set in medieval England. So my word usage in that is to the era.
Right. And that's Rython, Rython, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, because some people might have said you said writing series.
No, it's Rython.
Rython. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about Raython for a little then? This is a trilogy?
No, well, at the moment it's only 2 books.
Okay.
When I wrote the first one, The Raython
Mhm.
Kingdom, it was a standalone, and I was happy with it. I thought, it's great, fine.
Right.
And then I heard from several readers saying, where's the next one?
Ah.
I'm going, there isn't a next one. But we want a next one.
Right.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
So I wrote a next one,
Mm-hmm.
The Raython Legacy.
All right.
And funny enough, several months back, someone suggested that I should do another one. So I've only written, I would say, 7, 8 pages of the next one.
Okay.
So, yeah, there will be another one.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to finish my crime one first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because writing too many things at the same time is not a good idea.
So what's your elevator pitch for the Raython series?
Oh, goodness sake. Put me on the spot.
Uh-oh.
It is a fantasy set in medieval England.
Mm-hmm.
The first book is about a troubadour who is a storyteller travelling England and is invited to tell a tale in the king's court. And unbeknown to him, there's a secret spell within the tale that is going to release a vengeful witch. And in the second one, we're following the sorceress granddaughter who has her own set of troubles within the kingdom. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so each book has a different main protagonist then?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
But it's set in the same kingdom.
Right. So you could have a lot of books then.
I could. Yeah, I was told that, I could put this all the way up to modern times. I don't really want to be in a book that long.
Right.
The series would be incredibly long.
Sure. So what's your plans for the series at the moment? Is it a trilogy, or are you going to go further than that? Or
I think a trilogy will be enough, I think, for it. Although I thought the one book was enough. So that
yeah.
It depends if I get lots of emails saying, where's the next one?
Right. Right. Well, you just have to kill everybody off. So.
No, I won't do that.
No.
If they're enjoying it, then
Yeah.
I'm happy to write one.
And what's the target group for this series in terms of age?
Well, actually, I've found that I thought it would be sort of YA and maybe young adult, but I've had much younger children saying they really enjoyed it, and I've had much older people say they've enjoyed it. So it's sort of crossing the realms of ages for some reason. I mean, there's nothing in it that is too awful that you couldn't read it as an 11 or 12-year-old.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, so that series is ongoing, and are these some of the more recent books that you've written?
The most recent, because these aren't. The most recent was my steampunk.
Oh, okay, right. Yes,
novel.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Now, what's that one called?
That's called The Commodore's Gift.
And elevator pitch?
It's the Commodore's Gift is set in an alternative English setting.
Right.
And the Commodore is actually the usurper king's top man. And he's ruling with a rod of iron.
Okay.
But a rebel force is trying to fight back.
Right.
And you're following a young woman who is plunged into an event and then finds that she could actually help within the rebel force. And it's her trying to show her worth to the men. And she actually matches up with one of the fighters, and they find a way of garnering everybody into one plan to get rid of the Commodore. Yeah.
Very good. And is this a one-off?
It is at the moment. but no, I haven't planned anything for that one.
Okay.
So,
yeah. All right. And right now you're working on a crime novel.
Trilogy. Yes.
Trilogy. Oh, okay. So is this the first book?
I'm actually writing the second one at the moment.
Okay.
I'm working on the second book. So, but I haven't published them yet because I want to make sure everything flows between all 3 books because there's a finite timeline.
Right.
which has got a specific ending, and I had to research a particular chemical and its discovery.
Okay.
So I've had to do a timeline from the last book and backwards
Okay.
to make sure that it ties up with that discovery.
All right. And does this series feature a strong female protagonist, I'm guessing?
3 of them.
3 of them. Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
each book is a different
Ah.
Albertan city.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
And this current day?
it starts in 2007
Okay. Very good.
because of the timeline.
And is there a title for this series? Yeah.
The series is called The Delphic Murders.
Ooh, Delphic. All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, your books are published and distributed to local bookstores, I imagine, plus they're on the usual platforms, Amazon, Kobo, and whatnot.
All of those, yes.
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah.
How about audiobook?
I've looked at audiobook, but I haven't decided on it yet.
Okay.
It's one of those sort of research projects I'm in the midst of.
Right. I ask because recent stats are showing that audiobooks are quite popular these days. Yeah, so there's quite a market for them out there. And I guess partly because of the pandemic situation that we're hopefully coming out of now, but
Sure.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's something that I'm researching at the moment.
Okay. Speaking of the pandemic and whatnot, did the last 2 years, did that affect your writing output or your creativity either way?
I think it increased, to be honest.
Ah.
Because, yeah, I mean, because you're sort of bombarded with all this awfulness,
Right.
to actually sink down into something that you've created and just dwell in your imagination, it did increase.
Oh, okay.
And hence, I think that's where the trilogy came.
Ah.
Because I'm saying, instead of doing 1 book, I'm going to do 3. So, yeah.
How long does it take for you to typically write a book?
Oh, how's a long piece of string? Some of them are reasonably quick. Not like, overnight, obviously, but they can be maybe 6-7 months. When I did my very first Nano, that novel, I fiddled with that and rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it for years because I was still learning and I didn't feel that it was of a quality that I could publish it. So I think it took maybe 6 years before I got to the point of thinking, actually, I think it's good enough now.
Okay.
But I mean, that was only because it was my very first full length, and I wanted to make sure that it didn't disappoint me or my readers.
Right. Right.
But in the meantime, I'd written others and learnt and figured out, what was wrong with the first one. So.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely keeping a almost a book a year kind of pace. So whatever you're doing is working for you.
Well, yeah. Seems to be. I mean, I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think if you can enjoy something, any creative endeavour, then it gives your soul something to enjoy and relish in.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in your response to the COVID crisis that said that you actually wrote a little bit better, but I'm curious, are you familiar with Brandon Sanderson?
No.
Have you heard that? No? No, he's a fantasy writer. He's a pretty big fantasy writer. He finished off the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan passed away.
Oh, okay.
And he is a prolific writer. He writes epic fantasies, and they're in the 200,000+ word range. And he, over the COVID period, he's writing these epic fantasy series, and he wrote an additional 5 novels.
Oh my goodness.
And didn't tell anybody about it. And then he went on YouTube and announced it, and he was going to self-publish them through Kickstarter. And he just blew the doors off of any other campaign. He got over $20 million in the first day.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so he's you should look into him. He's a very even if you don't like epic fantasy, but he's a very open and approachable writer to his fans. And he's this is not an overnight success story for him. He's been doing this for 15 years. So that whole project has sent seismic shockwaves to the publishing thing, and now every writer's saying, "Oh, maybe I should self-publish."
Oh my goodness!
But I think it's like a lightning in a bottle kind of thing for him. So yeah, so that was just curious because like that's unbelievable. He wrote like 400,000 word plus novel or
That's a
500,000.
lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work.
yeah. His work ethic and like I think he's a compulsive writer.
Must be.
He says I handle stress by writing, and then that kind of sounds like what you were doing. So
Yeah, I mean, I just think it gives you an escape, and I think that's what writing and reading is. It's an escape.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I mean, I think the other thing for me is obviously that I don't have a TV, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
people find that very strange. But
Well, the younger generation probably wouldn't because they're all watching stuff on YouTube on their phones
yeah, I
and
know.
whatnot, right? So, yeah. Well, that's good for you. That's all the questions I have. Is
Okay.
there anything else that hasn't come up that you would like to mention at this time?
Just that you can find me all across social media, and I've got a blog that I blog twice a week.
All right, and we'll put notes in the show link, show notes, and the link to your website and whatnot to that,
Thank you.
then people can find you there. I want to thank you for coming on and for your patience at the beginning with technical issues. So that was good, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Excellent. So everybody, until next time, stay safe, but stay scared. Bye-bye. Bye, Mandy.
Bye.
And scene.